remember?
Astronauts.
Astronauts. What do astronauts do?
They float around.
They float around where?
In space.
In space. They float around in space. How do they get there?
On a rocket ship.
On a rocket ship. Is there another way they could get there? We talked about the other vehicle that looks like an airplane a little bit. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember what that was? Do you remember the word space shuttle? They can go on rocket ships or space shuttles. Where do you think they go? No, Grace, I'm going to ask you to sit down. Where do you think they go when they're in space? Where's somewhere you might like to go? You want to go to the sun? Yes or no? Do you want to go to the sun?
Yeah. No, I want to go to Pluto.
Pluto? Uh-oh, what's wrong with Pluto? It's missing. Pluto is somewhat lost. We can't decide if it's a planet or not. Because some books are saying yes, and some books are saying no. Do you know where I would like to go? To the moon. Raise your hand if you think you would like to go to the moon. Oh, Miss Sam even said she'd like to go to the moon. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people would love to go to the moon. What do you think you might see if you went to the moon?
I don't know.
You don't know. What do you think, Katie? You don't know? Do you know what's on the moon? You want to find out? Great. Let's read the book. The name of this book is On the Moon. That's the title. It was written by Anna Milbourne and Benji Davies. Oh, look.
There's the moon.
There's the moon. It's big and round and shining in the sky. Do you remember what I told you about the moon?
The sun is underneath.
The sun is shining on the moon. That's right. And it reflects it off, and that's what makes it shine. Noah Grace, do you remember that? Oh, look, isn't that so cute?
Can I see?
The bunny is asleep. Oh, my goodness. And look at the little boy. Look, Paris.
He's pretending he's someone.
He is pretending. What does that word mean? What does pretending mean? To be an astronaut. What does that mean? If he's pretending. Is he really an astronaut or no?
No.
It's just make-believe. Oh, the moon is very far away. What do you think it would be like to go there? What do you think it would be like?
Space.
Space. What do you think the moon is like? Do you think it's hot? Do you think it's cold?
No.
Do you think it's pretty? What do you think?
It's pretty.
You think it's pretty? A few people have been to the moon, Noah Grace. Astronauts went there to see what it was like. And when I was little, I was a little bit older than you, I think, I remember when they went. I'm so old, I remember when they went to the moon. I remember that. If you went to the moon, you would be an astronaut. You would. Wow.
Was he playing inside being an astronaut?
Yes, we'll get to play that in a little bit. To get to the moon, you have to go in a huge rocket. And do you remember what we had to do? We had to start with number what and count down. Do you remember what? We counted backwards before we blasted off. Do you remember which number we started with? This book says 5, but we did not start with number 5. We started with number 10. Can you count down? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! And the rocket will go into space. The astronauts sit in a tiny cabin at the very top of the rocket. It's way up here. That's where the astronauts are. They're not in all of this part because there is something called rocket fuel. There's fuel in there that makes that rocket go into space. Woo, look.
What happened to the other side?
What do you mean the other side?
What happened to that big tall part that was there?
Oh, this big tall part, the other part right here?
Uh-huh.
Actually, it comes apart. It's really cool. This little part where the astronauts are comes off, and this part, they usually try to get it to fall back into the ocean. It comes back down. Isn't that cool? Man, there's some smart people. The rocket flies into space. There's nothing but stars and darkness all around. Listen to this. It takes, how many days do you think to get to the moon on a rocket? Guess.
59.
59. No, Grace said 59 days. What do you think, Paris? How many days to get to the moon? You can guess any number. Nothing is wrong because you're just saying what you think. How many days?
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What number do
When
you
you're an
think?
astronaut, you can go anywhere you want.
No, Grace said 59. Maybe
You
5
can go
days.
anywhere you want.
Wait just a minute. I'm talking. Katie, what do you think? How many days does it take to get to the moon?
25.
95. So we have 59 days and 95 days. Do you want to guess? How many?
She seems really quiet.
She does. 1. Okay. Paris said,
1.
you know how many it actually is? Katie, I love that your feet are on the floor. That makes me happy.
How?
4. It takes 4 days in a rocket to reach the moon. When you get there, you climb into a little bitty spaceship that's on the bigger spaceship with you. So you leave that spaceship and you get into this. And I think they used to call it an explorer because explorer means you're going to go look. You're going to go searching and see what things look like, what you can find. It flies down and down and down, and it lands gently on the moon.
Can I have some?
To go outside, you have to put on a spacesuit. So what all would you have to put on your spacesuit? Do you remember? We got dressed. You put your spacesuit on, you have to put on, what do you put on your feet? Boots. What do you put on your head?
A helmet.
A helmet. What's on your hands? Gloves. What's on your back?
Air.
Air tank, so you can breathe. Could you sit down, please? There is no air on the moon. Space suits carry air so you can breathe. The moon is silent. What does that mean? Silent.
Means that it has lots of moon rocks.
Mm-mm. If I tell you to please be silent. Okay, listen. It's almost silent right now, except I hear the air purifier. It means totally quiet. No noise. So when you get to the moon, there's no noise. And it's empty and it's dusty and dirty. Look at the moon. Do you see a tree? Not one. Do you see any grass or flowers? All I see is a bunch of dirt and some holes in the moon that are called craters. There are huge mountains and big holes, but there are no trees or water, no animals or people. On the moon, you feel very light and floaty. What do you think light and floaty looks like?
Is that a kid?
It does look like a kid, but I don't think it is a kid. I think it's a grown-up man. Light and floaty. Can you show me light and floaty? Stand up and show me what you think you would look like if you're light and floaty. Show me. That's it. That's pretty light and floaty. Yeah. Do you remember gravity? There's not any on the moon. When you walk around, you take big bouncing steps. Can you take big bouncing steps? Maybe. Let me see some big. Here you go. Yeah, big bouncing steps. You can jump really far, much further than you can on Earth. Astronauts sometimes go exploring on a moon buggy. Wouldn't that be fun? It's a little like a go-kart. They collect moon rocks. Back up a little, you're in my space. Back up a little bit. They collect moon rocks to take back home. They take photos to show people what it looks like on the moon. And look what they put up there. This is true.
A flag?
A flag, an American flag. The astronauts really put a flag because they were the first astronauts to go to the moon, and they really put an American flag. And do you know what is so cool? It is still there.
You have to sit on every time.
It is still there. Well, no one's been back. Astronauts put a flag on the moon to show that they have been there. You can see, what planet is this?
Earth.
Earth. You can see our planet Earth from the moon. It looks tiny because it's so far away.
Are they going back home?
When it's time, listen, to go, the astronauts blast off for home. The moon is left almost as it was before, apart from the flag and the moon buggy and some footprints. So what did the astronauts leave on the moon? A flag, a moon buggy, and their footprints. Isn't it something? Their footprints are still there. What a cool book. So this morning,